What can a virtual assistant do for you? What are the array of tasks? One of the questions that I get from people all the time is, okay, I like this idea of going virtual. It sounds like a neat thing, but what can they do? The honest answer is they can do anything that doesn't require them to physically be in your office. Anything. So can you send them down to the copy room to make copies? No. Can you send them on an inspection to open up a door for an inspector? Probably not. But everything else are things that technically a virtual assistant can do. So that's the answer to the question of what can they do. The better question to ask is what should a virtual assistant do? And in my opinion, a virtual assistant should do anything that allows your team members more time to focus on their one thing without sacrificing client satisfaction. There's a couple different types of virtual assistants you can look for. One is full-time virtual assistant, somebody that works for you 40 hours a week, specifically only on the tasks that you assign them for your business. Part-time virtual assistants. Maybe you're at the point in your business where you don't need somebody 40 hours a week, but you know there's a list of tasks that you're spending at least 15 to 20 hours a week on that you could outsource to somebody else. So you'd like to have somebody 15 to 20 hours a week. You can do that as well. So what do our full-time VAs do, our administrative full-time VAs? I'm going to tell you in my business what it looks like in hopes that some of you will get some ideas for what we're currently using them for. One is transaction coordination. Anytime we get a contract executed, our virtual assistants do all of the tasks that are typically done by a transaction coordinator. One of the things that we found in our business is as our business grew, our executive assistants didn't have the time to focus on the most important aspects that we needed them to focus on. They were getting pulled into all the details. We get all these other leads, and our team doesn't get nearly as many as I'm sure a lot of you in this room do. We get about 150 to 250 a month. Excuse me. And that was too much for even our full-time inside salesperson to follow up with at a high level, to make those ongoing calls, to call 2 or 3 times the first day, to follow up with 8 or 10 times over the first 10 days, to put through a full 10 days of pain. So what we found is that we can have the VA make the initial call as soon as the lead comes in. That's another great benefit of it, right? Is we know that you got to get back to them how quick? 5 minutes. If somebody else on your team is on the phone, or your buyer's agent is normally the one that follows up with your leads, and it's taking them a while to get back to them, our VAs are in the office waiting for those leads to come in. They can call immediately. Where do I go to find them, or how do I take them? How do I know the best sources? I think this is great, and this shows that out of over the last 12 months, MyOutDesk got 26,000 applications. Out of those 26,000, only 6,000 of them, a little over 6,000, came in for an initial interview. Out of those 6,000, 1,500 had a final interview. 782 began the training, and only 526 were ever endorsed or passed along to a client. To me, that's the benefit of going to a business that works in our industry, that's familiar with what we do, and also knows the cultures in these companies that they're hiring from. A lot of you in here think this is really neat, and you're glad that you came, but you're like, it's still kind of fuzzy. I'm not really sure that this makes 100% perfect sense for me. I think this Aaron guy, he's pretty neat. I laughed at a couple of his jokes, not all of them, but I'd like to know a little bit more. Show me that it works. So if you guys want, I am going to call one of my virtual assistants in the Philippines and talk to him for a few minutes in front of you guys. I did get their permission to do that. Does that sound like something you guys would be interested in? All right, cool.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, Margie.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm in a room of about 400 people, and I've been talking about how great you girls are, and so I wanted to call and specifically have them hear a little bit from you. Can you, why don't you go through and just tell them a little bit about what you've done for our business today?
Okay, so for today, this morning I created a sales data report for Nashville area and updated our sales tracking spreadsheet and submitted that to our investors. So this is something that I would normally do on a regular basis, like every morning of Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Also, over the weekend, we got a contract executed, and I started working on the day zero of our buyer's campaign this morning.
Okay, so hold on real quick. So we got a contract executed while I was in Phoenix, and you've already initiated the buyer campaign and started the buyer tasks as well. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That's pretty cool. Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Okay. Bye.
All right, guys, so how cool was that? I saved that for the end because I thought that if I did that in the beginning, you all would just go ahead and leave and go hire virtual assistants.